Welcome to the Takeover with your girl, Shay McCoy here on Fufu Radio. And y'all know what time it is. As always, we are inside the room with State Representative Brandon McGee, my brother. What's up, B?
What up? What up? I always love that intro. I just be sitting here like a little kid, like, yay, what's going on? Another week, another week.
Yes, another week. Just here making it. I will say, I am like just becoming more and more proud of you, of the man and the guy that you are becoming, because it's like, first of all, my friend is a state representative. Okay, stop playing with me. Okay. Anyway, yeah, that part. Secondly, you are nominated as the NAACP 100 top 100 men in Connecticut. Like how is that possible? What do you do?
Just to clarify, the 100 most influential Blacks.
Yes.
So the list is made up of women as well. And I'm just honored that the NAACP this is a very esteemed honor, to be recognized at this level. And I think a lot of it, and I think our special guest that's inside the room will talk a little bit about it as well with respect to servant leadership. It's just amazing to do the work and people see it and recognize you for the work that you're doing.
Yes.
I put on my Facebook, my official Facebook page, for the General Assembly here. And I talked about a full circle moment. I remember undergraduate, Alabama State University, and I served as the president of the State Youth and College Division for the NAACP. It's a big title, but it simply meant being a leader of your students or your friends, chartering chapters, etc. And it taught me everything I know now. And to be honored by the organization that helped to train me it means a lot, more than any money, although I do like money, but more than any money, it's just.
Is that how you were
honor.
able to be a pallbearer for Rosa Parks?
That's right.
Got it. Okay.
That's right. I was the State Youth and College Division president, and Mrs. Parks, her husband, Raymond Parks, he had already passed away before her, and she didn't have any immediate family, and NAACP was her family. And we, myself, along with other leaders from the Alabama chapters of NAACP, we planned her entire funeral. And it was something that I will never, ever forget. And I'll post on my social media again some of those pictures. And it's just, man, I have had a really, really just an amazing journey. So again, I appreciate it. That honor is absolutely amazing. They're having a really, really big event this Saturday at Foxwood. So if any of our listeners are in the Connecticut area and you want to see Nas perform and, be at that, the convention that they're having there, by all means, come on to Connecticut, join us, have a little fun. But
I've always been a fan of Nas. I'm not gonna lie. That's what's up.
Me too.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Well, you did bring a guest today, and this guest, this is another first Black woman of something. You always bring somebody the first of. You know what I'm saying?
It's just listen. We on the takeover, and so on the takeover, we've got to share with folks the importance of our people, for us, by us, making progress, making strides in all sectors. But before I introduce our first CEO of the Connecticut Valley Hospital, I want to send condolences to the Powell family.
Yes.
The first Black U.S. Secretary of this country, Colin Powell, who passed away as a result of COVID complications. Just very, 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 very sad situation. I know his wife had suffered from COVID, but she was able to make it out. But, we send our condolences. But like you said, we have the first African-American female to lead a major health institution here in the great state of Connecticut, and that of Lakeisha Hyatt. And she's already inside the room. So, I mean, we're here, and I want to hear from her. So let's bring her on in.
All right, you guys keep it locked. Don't go nowhere. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Takeover with your girl, Shay McCray, as we are inside the room with State Representative Brandon McGee. And as we told you guys earlier, he has a guest. And I'm excited about this guest because, of course, black girl magic always wins. So it is what it is. That's how I feel.
Indeed.
But, but I am so honored to be sitting here and speaking with the CEO of CT Valley Hospital and a survivor of breast cancer, a black girl magic, and I'm pretty sure so many other things. Oh, a wife, a mother, because you gotta represent those
all
things
of it.
Because the way
Absolutely.
the world is right now, we have to give them those flowers as well. As we sit here, I would love to welcome to the takeover Miss Lakeisha Hyatt. How you doing?
Oh,
Mrs.
hello.
Lakeisha Hyatt. Sorry about that.
But let me say this though before
Okay.
we actually jump into this amazing story and journey of Miss Hyatt. We also celebrate the fact that she was recognized just recently in the Women in Business or the Hartford Business Journal as one of the leading females executives doing her thing, as I call it. So she's the 2021 Women in Business honoree. And as already mentioned, Shay, shared with us that Lakeisha is the Chief Executive Officer for the Connecticut Valley Hospital, a flagship hospital for the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services. So as a sitting state representative, as Shay always says, for the world, but here in the state of Connecticut, I am honored to know you, madam. And all of your 3,000 individuals who you represent almost every year, those in recovery. So
Yes.
the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, I'm willing to be led by each of you because a good leader is a great follower, right? And so,
I know that's right. Say it again.
I'm willing to be led. I just want to take an opportunity to do a little bit of a modification. So proud to be a thriver, right? So proud to be a breast cancer thriver. In 2016, when that call came in and I had to sit down next to my husband and tell him they found something. And to now sit here in 2021 and say that something is gone, and to be able to say it with a smile, an authentic, real smile, not a masked smile, but an authentic smile. That's criteria for Thrive. That is Thrive criteria. Right. And so I'm very, very thankful that that's part of my journey and testimony.
So, if you're just tuning in, FUBU family, we're meeting with Lakeisha Hyatt, CEO. But aside from all of that, we're talking about breast cancer awareness. And instead of saying a survivor, we're speaking with a thriver. And we know globally that breast cancer affects more women than any other type of cancer. And it's the leading cause, of cancer-related deaths among women. I think it's also important to note, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lakeisha, African-American women have a 31% breast cancer mortality rate, the highest of any U.S. racial or ethnic group. So to hear from you that you've beat this thing, you're thriving, is God's grace, most importantly, and all of that good stuff. Don't get me to start preaching on here. Well, I don't want to proselytize the folks, but it also says a lot about your story and who you are and where you are. Talk to us a little bit about how you were able to detect, basically what was going on, because a lot of women are not having that success.
Yes, and I am so pleased that you pointed out that specific statistic, because the mortality rate, and the reason why it's so important is we as African American women, we're nurturers and we're get it doners. We are by any means necessary, get from point A to point B and execute, and we put ourselves at the bottom. And so that mortality has to do with delayed care and putting ourselves last. many times. It also has to do with access, appropriate access to healthcare, and making sure that those mammograms are accessible to women of color. So there are those dynamics in there that contribute to the mortality rate that you're talking about. But a little bit about my story has to do with the mammogram. And so I was going along, and I had done my fitness competition, and I was running marathons, and I was doing and I love Jesus, and I love to lift weights, and doing all those wonderful things. And so I'm thinking I'm young and healthy, and I was by any definition. But the external assessment of health and the presence of health still requires us to get our annual mammogram. So I went that first year, and I went and got that mammogram, and they saw something, it's nothing, and we're going to tag on. So you go for your annual, because the key is annual, right? So you go for that next mammogram, and they say, we see some. Tagging is just so they can monitor it and make sure. And I didn't have a history. None of the women in my family ever had breast cancer. I do not carry the BRCA gene. There were no indications that I should be concerned. And so but you must do the annual. So I go back and I do the annual exam again. And they say, well, we're going to do a biopsy, and that's what they normally do. They do the biopsy and then they tag it. It's fine. And so they did the biopsy, and I got a call. And they said, and I'll never forget the day, I got a call, and they said, it is cancer. And I was at work, and you know how you're going from point A to point B, and you get that call. And I will tell you this, and I am who I am, so I have to share this. I was looking, after I got the call, I was looking for a place to cry. And I refused to go cry in the bathroom, because for some reason that was skeeving me out. But I was looking for a room to cry in, and I didn't want to go in the stall. And I was trying, and I'm, praise God, I'm in the executive suite. So I was like, all right, maybe I'll go in that room, and that executive conference room is being used. And that, so I round the corner of the then CEO's office, and she was a mentor. So I said, I'm going to talk to her. Before I could get to her, there was a young lady who says, Lakeisha, I need you. And she began to tell her problems. And I will share with you, in all honesty, that young lady doesn't know, but the first 3 minutes, I didn't hear anything. It was a Charlie Brown experience. I didn't hear anything.
I can imagine.
Because I was so caught up in my pain, right? And the overwhelm of just getting the call. And it was though a couple of minutes in, I began to listen to her, and I began to hear her and walk her through what she needed to go through. And at the end of it, and this is so real for me, and it's proven true. At the end of it, I was no longer as overwhelmed by the magnitude of the call, because I had stepped out of my situation just for a second to encourage her in how to take care of hers. And I share that because that's part of my surviving journey. It meant that the journey steps were know when you need help. Have people that you can go to. In the midst of seeking that help, also remember to serve somebody else. It strengthens you, but then finish the process of obtaining the help you need. Those elements have rung true throughout the entire journey of this journey from breast cancer to breast cancer survivor to breast cancer thriver. And so I just thank you for the opportunity to share that. It has really been a journey of getting those mammograms, getting that call, knowing where your help is, seeking that help, being intentional about it, serving others in the process because you're strengthened by it, but then separating and finishing the self-care.
What age, first I want to say thank you so much for sharing that. What age would you recommend someone to start getting mammograms?
So for 40 years, but it's younger and younger.
I
so
know.
it's you really, here are the indicators that you should look at, right? So you look at them, you consult with your medical director, and the age is about the age of 40 years old. However, if you have the BRCA gene, it's earlier. If you don't have the BRCA gene, but you have a hereditary predisposition, it's earlier. And so I would encourage individuals from the point in which you start to have your menses. So I was teaching my daughter to how to do a breast self-exam.
Self-exam, yeah.
Right? Because women we know ourselves. We may ignore ourselves, but we know ourselves.
We do a lot.
Same with men.
We try to self-diagnose through Google and so many other things.
Can I just insert here before you finish answering that question? There are also men who suffer. It's a small percentage, but there are also men who suffer with this particular disease as well, and breast cancer.
Yes,
so I just kind of wanted to put that in there.
For many,
that is true.
Many of our men. But I'm looking at some statistics here from a pretty resourceful website called Breast Cancer Prevention Partners. And they're focusing a lot on African American women. And when I say African American, I mean the diaspora. So we're talking about West Indies. We're talking about women of color, just to kind of put that out there. And I know that among women younger than 45, breast cancer incidence is higher among these African American women than their white counterparts. And so young women in general, and younger African American women in particular, are more likely to present with the and I'm gonna mess this word up, but it's the triple negative subtype of the disease, and the subtype that is both more aggressive and associated with the higher mortality. So I know you're talking about, is it the BRCA you said?
Yes, the BRCA gene. It's just that gene.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And just being mindful of whether that gene runs in your family. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. This is very interesting. I myself, like you, do not have anyone that suffer from this gene, or I have never experienced that. I've never went through it with anyone that was close to me. However, I've seen it, of course, from afar on social media and so forth, and with women like yourself. Now, when they say prevention, are they talking about just early detection? Because from what I know, it is something that you can't prevent unless it's through early detection.
I think early detection is vital. I think that we have to be mindful, and it's always important to stay in your lane, but I'm going to say this and then refer you to your physician. It is important to be mindful of the diet that we eat, the foods that we eat, and the carcinogenics, carcinogenics that we're exposing ourselves to, right? And the microwave usage and the
cosmetics,
cosmetics and the type of sugar substitutes that we may choose. I'm not going to name anyone, but this type of substitutes. So I think that there is the amount of exercise that we're literally doing. So I believe that there are preventative strategies toward health promotion that we have to maximize as people of color, right? That we have to maximize as a nation, but we have to maximize. And then there is the early detection, and it just can't. And so it's the combination and the partnering of the two.
Good point.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing that on this first half. We're gonna go to break now.
Right, because I could keep going.
We could keep going, because it's like you do it so gracefully, and it's like it's almost
that's
like
Lakeisha, man. Oh my god.
Yeah, and it's like you make the fight seem so easy, and we know just from seeing it and learning from it that it is not. So thank you so much for sharing it and making others feel comfortable even talking about it. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Connecticut Valley. All right.
Okay.
All right. So you guys keep it locked. Don't go nowhere. It's the takeover. Welcome back to the Takeover with your girl, Shay McCray. As you all know, we are inside the room with State Representative Brandon McGee. And of course, he has a guest, Miss Lakeisha Hyatt, CEO of Connecticut Valley Hospital. Now, one of the things I want to say, I commend you because not only were you probably dealing with your own mental health issues and stuff, here you are catering to the mental health and addiction of others. You know, this is a big deal, especially during COVID. You know, from what I know a lot of children suffered more than before, suffered highly from depression during this time. And so, I mean, let's talk about it, please.
Yes. I think it's so vital. I mean, I hear you asking the question, what is it like to lead in the midst of this pandemic? What is it like to lead a 361 bed facility, 1,100 employees during a pandemic where we're in uncharted territory? And you know what it's all about? It's about taking care of people. It's about service. It's about embracing fundamentals of truly transformational leadership and servant leadership, right? Transformational
that part, servant leadership.
Transformational leadership talks about investing in people for the objective of meeting the mission and of the organization, meeting organizational and mission. You invest in people. Servant leadership says, I'm going to invest in the people. And when you constantly invest in the people and grow the people, develop the people, by virtue of your processes of doing that, the mission is addressed. So there's less of a focus on the mission and the myopic objective, and focus on the people.
That's right.
And that is what I experienced, lived, learned, made some mistakes on, and then got up and fixed, is focusing on servant leadership. It became constantly talking to individuals, clients, employees, and it was not at all about a hierarchy. It was about the people. And it was about how I structured and the team structured the strategies for communication and opportunity for input. It was about, I'll give you a concrete example. I went from wearing heels every day to sneakers every day because I needed to be able to move location to location so that people could see and ask those questions. And then it moved into a virtual space. But that it's about people. And that is any time you're going to go through something and you need to lead, you position yourself at the front to let them know you are there for them. And then you get in the back of them and push them along. No true leader finishes the race first. Right? Because you're constantly pushing your people to the front. And that's what it constantly was about at the hospital. Yes, it was developing infrastructure. It was being authentic about when you knew something and when you didn't, when you had the resource and when you didn't have it. It was about consistency, and removing masks. As executive leaders, if you want to weather the storm, take the masks off. And
so can I ask you this? So we're talking about the literal mask and also the other mask. So I want to park there for a second. So you're the first African American to lead this institution, and you have the huge task of leading this institution through a pandemic, which you talked about and how you've highlighted servant leadership.
Sure.
Let's talk about your mental health. As the first Black female, in a role at the highest level, how were you as an executive able to get through, the pandemic, meanwhile supporting and helping others? I think I know the answer to this, but you gave us a more practical response when you talked about the young lady who was in need of help. True example of servant leadership. But talk to us a little bit about that.
I think that more now in this pandemic, individuals need space, without judgment to talk about their mental state, right? And for me, it was creating that space by modeling doing it. So as a leader, talking about being overwhelmed, as a leader, like as a CEO saying, this is a bit much, and then saying, no, wait, I don't know. But then also talking about the magnitude of stress. So often we have couched things as leaders, as faith believers. Yep. We're too blessed to be stressed. I'm stressed. And it's the blessings of the Lord that's going to help me through this. But I am stressed because we need to move beyond denying feelings.
That's right.
We have spent so much time talking about giving folks scripture without context, and I'm coming back.
Oh no, you're good.
No, you're right. No, seriously, and that's part of the problem.
Where
even as a mom, a father, you know, we put those strengths on them and not allowing them to feel comfortable to say, I'm stressed. Like, no, it's not gonna work.
I'm sad. I'm upset. I'm afraid. Yep. And so what happens is individuals are in leadership have been taught to lead and to deliver a message of we can and we will, and you do. But your value in leader, your sustainability is in leadership is when those whom you serve see you as real, see you as human. And so we will make it. But this tear is rolling, and I'm gonna wipe it because of faith. I'm gonna wipe it because I believe in our team ability, and we get it done. Yeah. But we gotta be real. And the other thing that I was going to share with individuals is what happens is we deny feelings in an effort to support someone getting through something. But because we deny their sadness and their hurt and their pain, they never get to the point of acknowledging it, so they don't have a strong enough foundation to work through it. Wow. So what happens is, I was going to share, because I don't want someone to take away, Reverend Hyatt said something against scripture. No, what I was going to say was, we have to understand that the scripture is a means of getting through, that that we are able to, I don't want to get too deep. When we talk about the fact that individuals are fearful, it doesn't mean that we have to hit them with the scripture of not being fearful. Allow them to express it and model expression of it.
Yeah, Shay, I forgot that other title, that she's also a leader in her local church as well. So I think you can feel it. It's like,
definitely, she's preacher boy. I'm like, you are absolutely right.
And not preaching in the sense where you're just sharing loose words. Like
she's real.
You just connect, and you make the connection.
I say you make the connection? She's real. Like, nah, we're not doing this. I'm stressed. Come back later. You know, and that's and we've been so like under the impression that you have to be this strong ability mindset. You know, they even even to get in position, a higher position in corporate, you got to take these personality tests and stuff. And it seems like if you're gonna break, they might not give you the position, which in reality, we're all human. If you don't break, what does it, like, we hold all that in. It's like the Wall Street worker loses his job and shoot up the train at the end of the day, you know, because it's like he was already at his breaking point. It was just something that released him. You know,
we have to give people room to be authentic if we really want to help them. Let me say it this way. I was helping somebody else. If you want to move from point A to point B, you have to acknowledge you're in point A. So you can look toward point B. So point A is acknowledging my feelings.
But let's be honest though, right? So there are so many barriers, and I'm talking but I'm speaking to Black and brown folk. And we know that in the workplace, whether it is in the executive suite or the frontline worker, there are
Yes.
certain things like code switching and, having to go super above and beyond just to be recognized. And, God forbid if I want to share my feelings, or I'm just not feeling well that particular day, and how that will be held against me. How does one make it through that, mental health wise?
Yes.
I know of colleagues right now, in very sweet roles, but they're unable to really express how they feel with their boss, because they're afraid of what could potentially happen. Like
crazy. Are they
Yes.
losing it? They don't have
or an
all
angry
their
black
bearings.
woman.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the biggest one. Tell me about it. That's
I mean,
why
hopefully you can get
hold
my-
it all in.
Yeah.
But hopefully you can get my question in that.
I do.
And
I do.
how does one respond to that? And again, we're still talking about mental health, y'all.
Yes. Yes.
And we're still celebrating breast cancer thrivers,
Yes.
as well. But Lakeisha, fill us in on that.
I think that it's so vital for you to know the circles you go into. You have to, in this type of leadership that I'm in, because we're all leaders, whether we're at our kitchen table and we're leading in our home, or we're leading from an executive seat, we're leading. You have to know the circles you're going in and the language that's spoken in those circles. And you have to have, and I'm going to tell you why I say that. And then you also have to have circles of safety and support. And you need to know where they are. And your circle of safety or support may be next to you or above you, or it may be external to the organization altogether. But just be honest about that. Then, because if you're flowing in those circles of support, whether it's your brotherhood circle, your sisterhood circle, your faith-based circle, you're flowing in that circle of support, you're better equipped and energized to go into the other circles that are less supportive. And then when you're entering those circles, you have to understand the language of the circles. Because communication happens different way at different tables.
It definitely
and in
does,
different
yeah.
circles.
Yeah.
And I have to, let me share my journal, my journey. My journal is another story. Let me share that was Freudian, but Freud was why. So anyway, let me share the journey. Journey is learning the language of the circle you're going in so you can be effective in them hearing you. There used to be a time, and I'll give you an example. There are some circles that speak in storytelling, and that is the only way you're going to get that message out. And there are some circles that speak in data, and that is the only way the message is going to go out. And if you are going into different circles, you need to know the language of the circle to prevent unnecessary stress. You have to know the language of the circle. And we spend a lot of time trying to teach foreign languages. And it's not wrong. You just need to determine if you have time and support to teach. So what do I mean? You go into a circle that is data-driven circle and trying to tell a story. You've been tuned out 2 words in. And you're trying to teach them storytelling and the story, and it's 20, 30 minutes, and you have 2 to 3 minutes for an effective elevator speech. And so the stress comes from us who lead, who know that we possess passion and purpose, but we forget to learn the language of the circles that we go into.
Wow.
Wow.
Shay, I think we're gonna have to start paying our guests when they come on for all of our therapy sessions.
But it makes sense.
Oh,
you know,
God.
sometimes, you could be in a circle and you have control of the conversation, or sometimes you'll get at a table and you're like, they're not even listening to me. I can't even get 2-3 words out,
not.
Yeah.
They're not
So,
listening.
and that happens. But that's just different table. Sometimes it's your conversation, they're not interested. So sometimes I refrain from speaking of my success or where I'm at because of it. I'm not going to lie. And it holds me back. So it limits me to celebrate where I'm at, because I can't even, that's not the conversation for that table.
Right. And it depends too, because sometimes I will present a particular way to determine if you're ready for me in that circle.
Oh, I need to let me shots fired.
I'm gonna steal that. I'm gonna steal that quote.
I was saying they wasn't ready for me in that circle. I'm with you, sis. I am with you.
They may not be ready for you in that circle, and it's okay. It's okay. There is constantly an evaluation, the circle in me. There's constantly an evaluation of fit. There's constantly an evaluation of whether you're aligned with my understood purpose. I don't have to ask anybody about purpose. So I know whether your circle is in alignment with it. And so that you're constantly evaluating that. And so sometimes, and it's good people at the table, but you're not in alignment with, you're not ready for me and not in alignment with my purpose.
That's awesome.
Good people.
So So we listen. I know we listen. Okay. We could probably stay here for a little while, but in closing, you know, yes. I know you know how appreciative we are of your time, but I just want to thank you again and congratulate you on all of the work that you're doing, but most importantly, your give back. You know, in terms of just who you are at all of those different tables. We see you, and we recognize the work that you're doing, and it's not just there at Connecticut Valley, your community, your church, your sorority, the whole nine. So, you know, thank you. Now, do you have like any information, like a website that we can refer our FUBU family to that are listening now, yes. and they're saying, you know what, I want to go get a mammogram. I'm a young lady, but something just doesn't seem right, or I just want to learn more. Is there a national organization? Yeah, share that with us.
So there are a couple of things that I would like to refer individuals to, and it's for the various areas that we've talked about. So for breast cancer services and supports, of course, the Komen website, and we can share
I'll make sure to put that on our
thank
website.
You. So I definitely use that now for information when I'm doing presentations or when I need to obtain literature to refresh, because the science changes. Yeah. I, of course, will also refer you to Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, their website for mental health services and supports. So I would encourage you. And then, of course, because I believe in the whole man, I also would encourage you to find your local faith center and house of worship so that you might be enriched spiritually as well. But though I would encourage you. And of course, if you have any questions, always, and I will always refer you to your primary care provider or local provider in your community.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This is a lot. I'm like ready to sit in for like a whole hour. I'm like, you know, like preach, girl, preach. Nah,
what I'll do is I'll be sure to make sure that the two of you connect because I think there's some synergy there as well.
Yes.
And I know we're speaking to the whole world,
yes,
but in this instance, that's for Shay.
Oh my gosh, I just love Miss Shay.
So thank you.
I love Mrs. Hyatt. Look. Well, thank you so much for joining us again, and let them know again that the website one last time before we get up out of here.
So again,
the Komen
I would refer you to the Komen website just for breast cancer resources, Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services for any mental health or substance abuse services, and of course, reach out to your faith-based community for holistic purposes and faith services and support.
All right, Absolutely. Thank you so much. You guys keep it locked. Don't go nowhere. It's the takeover. Welcome back to the Takeover with your girl, Shay McCray. And of course, we were inside the room with State Representative Brandon McGee and Lakeisha Hyatt. Lakeisha Hyatt is such an inspiration to just the Black girls magic community. I'm going to say that. And just being a thriver alone in itself. I mean, oh my God. You know, the strength, the smile, the did you see how she explains how she removed herself from her situation and was still able to encourage someone else? Come on, the mindset. I mean,
can you imagine getting that call? Getting that call, no, you have cancer, you know, and it shook her world, and I'm sure other women across this country. But she's she moves in grace, such grace, and I'm really, really happy that we had an opportunity to engage with her. And
yes, I got a little touchy. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I was having a whole moment on the phone with her.
Yeah.
I was like, is this a real session? I don't want to cry because I might have to pay her. But I was like, I'm like, if I cry, if a tear come down, she gonna send
you owe her some money. She goes,
I owe her some money. Then she started to preach it, and I'm like, okay, well, there's another title on this phenomenal woman. And not to only to mention that I think I read somewhere 19 years marriage. So I mean, a wife, a mother, come on,
she's
a mother
into
in itself is
local
just hard.
politics. She does a lot. She does a lot.
Yes, where you be finding these friends at? Look, and then she talk about the table. Listen, I'm not gonna feel bad when they don't understand me. When I can't get my 2 cents in, I'm like, you know what, this table not ready for me.
They're not ready for you.
They not
That's
ready
it.
for me.
Just sit back.
I'm vibrating too high. They trying to shut down my vibrations. They trying to turn off my battery or something.
Okay.
Shoot, listen. But no, it's phenomenal. Please, you guys, reach out to her. And like she said, please go to your local professional or your family, whoever you go to get
your
care,
physician,
because it means a lot. And you too, with men, please encourage men to continue to
absolutely
proper care that is needed.
Absolutely. This is not, exclusively for women. It has no affinity toward one community. So I encourage our men, go get checked as well, and do your research. She said it, do your research, but in particular, women of color, African-American women, and younger women. Shay, that was a great question you asked. How young should you start researching and getting checked? And it's starting young, and because of the disparities that exist in our communities, we have to do a little bit more homework and be proactive in it. So as we continue to provide awareness on breast cancer, we encourage all of our listeners, please contact your physician. And if you are a female of a certain age, please go get them checked. Go get your breasts checked. And there is a such thing as self-examinations. You can type that in and it'll show you how to do it. And again, check in with your physician. But as always, I appreciate this. This is good.
Yeah, well, let them know how to follow up with you and follow your journey.
Yeah,
anything special? Do you have to speak this at some conference or anything being nominated, or where do we go vote, or
no, you don't need to vote. No. I've already been recognized. I will receive my honor, and just continue to do the work. It's good to be recognized and to be noticed for the work that you're doing. But I encourage folks, as you're listening, join your local NAACP chapters. Each state throughout this country, they have a chapter, and that is the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. That's naacp.org. Become a member. Learn more about the fight for social justice, the fight for housing, equity in housing and education, etc. And of course, making sure we're encouraging everybody to vote in the upcoming elections. So, hey, that's all I'm asking of you. And as always, follow me _BLMJ_. Help me get my numbers up since I only have 2 followers per Shay. And join the Facebook group and follow me on Spotify and YouTube, all inside the room with State Representative Brandon McGee.
Yes, and y'all make sure y'all download that FUBU Radio app and follow us, Official FUBU Radio, on Instagram, FUBU Radio on Facebook, and follow me, Shay McCray, SHAYMCCRAY. By the way, before we get out of here, did you see the designer that is placing? I guess they partnered with this designer back in 2018, and the designer is showcasing them FUBU, the FUBU collection, and inside of this museum, and the designer is Paya Moss.
Oh, I heard of. Okay,
Yep,
okay.
Kai
Yes,
Marshall
yes,
in
yes.
2018. They did a collaboration with the FUBU brand, and now it is being featured. A few designers that he created is being featured in a museum right now. So and the museum is called the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York.
Wow.
So I know. Let's talk about FUBU for us by us.
so you'll be modeling the clothes?
No, so the it was already a part of a
No. I'm just
well, I
putting it
always
out
get
there.
the clothes. That's nothing new. I always get the clothes. Yeah.
Y'all see
So-
Shay? Okay, I see you.
You so silly, but we got to get up out of here. Thank you so much. Thank y'all for tuning in. We appreciate it. You already know the vibes. It's FUBU Radio, baby.